It's time to separate the frights from the flops. On this episode of Tower Topics, we're ranking every maze at Kings Island's 2025 Halloween haunt. The hits, the misses, and the ones that'll haunt your dreams long after you've left the park.
Hello, he's Ryan. I'm Don, and welcome to another episode of Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button to keep up to date on all things Kings Island.
And this episode of Tower Topics is presented by Land of Illusion.
And a word from our sponsor.
Feel the pulse of terror at the nation's #1 rated haunt. Head to America's most visited Scream Park. Land of Illusion, the ultimate haunted destination. 6 bone-chilling attractions. All-night fun with a full bar and a food court to fuel your adventure. Will you conquer the scares? Land of Illusion. Get tickets now at landofillusion.com.
So a little bit different sentiment this year for Halloween Haunt, because for the first time ever, they're charging for the mazes an extra $10 to $30 for the haunted attraction pass, plus whatever the Conjuring costs that night. But let's talk about the methodology. This is not our ranking of the best mazes.
No, it's not. It's something that, it's pulled from different sentiments. So it's what people are, what are they talking about on X, Facebook, other places, fan forums. It pulls all that together and, compiles a power ranking of the mazes. So there are 7 different mazes, and it put it in order of, what the sentiment is. And as Ryan said, this is not how Ryan would rank the mazes for his Tower Topics, power rankings. It's not, what I would have, but it's what the park goers, the hunt goers, those that are experiencing the attractions, it's where they rank them. So,
Yeah.
We'll have a lot to talk about afterward, I'm sure, but we'll start out with coming in at number 7 in the power rankings of haunt mazes. It is Kilmart,
Presented by M&M's. So Kilmart, nestled near the antique cars. It's a clearance sale for full-on fright. It's actually themed to Kmart, which is always funny because I bet a lot of the people that go through the maze had never been through a Kmart at this point, because it's been around a while. And it's one of those things where you're haunted by the employees. You go through the different areas. You've got the clothing, and you've got the camping, and the housewares and stuff like that. They did add an animatronic this year, but just as the tension builds, it's over. And the scares never quite ring up, some would say. So casual visitors might enjoy the campy theme, but true horror hounds will be checking out long before the final aisle. So that's ranked last, but it got the sponsor. So there's that.
That's number 7. All right, coming in at number 6 in the haunt power rankings of mazes, it is Cornered.
Yeah, Cornered. So quarantine maze. This is the one of the previous mazes from last year that actually feels a little bit different this year. But don't let the corn stalks fool you. The outdoor to indoor hybrid, staged by the Timberwolf venue, opens strong with fog-drenched field where wrestling stocks conceal pitchfork-wielding farmers ready to pounce. The experience peaks inside a blood-smeared barn filled with roaring machinery in one unforgettable moment. A bungee suspended actor who launches toward the exit, startling even seasoned scare seekers. But the attraction loses steam between the set pieces, with too many predictable pop-outs amid the hay bales. Fun if you have time, a solid gateway scare for corn maze fans, but not worth the wait compared to the park's flashier indoor haunts. I could see that. What is this where I would rank it? We'll get to that in the future, but it is kind of like, another turn, another guy in a ghillie suit. And they had this problem for a long time And it's very evident now with the new mazes that are made by people that exclusively do haunt mazes. But you go left, then you go right, then you go left, then you go right. And it's incredibly predictable. And in this one, it's just a bunch of people in ghillie suits. They're easy to find, you know?
Yeah. And again, these, descriptions in that, it's being pulled by sentiment. So these are not Ryan's words, not my words. It is the words of those who have been going through these mazes, and it is how it kind of evolves to make these power rankings of the mazes. Coming at number 5, Order of the Dragon.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize once again, this is not our power rankings right here, because this one hurts my heart. But okay, yeah, Order of the Dragon, Kings Island's Marquee 2025 edition sinks its teeth into Action Zone with descended to the Vampire King's subterranean lair, a winding catacomb crawl of dripping stalactites, torchlit crypts, and robed bloodsuckers emerging from the shadows. The journey masterfully builds tension through echoing chants and sudden bat swarms, yet it relies more on atmosphere than innovation. Think Dracula meets a damp basement. Early visitors have promised the immersive set, but noted uneven performances on crowded nights. Fanged horrors lurk, but it's more moody than maniacal. A strong, stylish newcomer, even if it stops just short of becoming a true nightmare classic. So, I would give it more credit than that.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. And let's pause for a moment to give a shout out to our Prestige members. I want to give a big shout out to Miss Mandy, 1983, Lil Mac, 21, Brian Hauser, 330T, Aaron Bort, Jacob Fix, Damon Barnes, Dakota Cole, Eric Grau, Dustin Jackson, Songstress Miku, Medic 302, Eastern Coaster, Guys and Girls, Justin Y, and Mike Garrett. Thank you guys so much for supporting Tower Topics at the highest level. That's the Prestige level. If you want to be involved in Tower Topics, memberships start just at $2.99 American. Members get early access to the videos, exclusive content, exclusive live streams, and some tiers even get some free stuff. So hit that link in the description if you're interested. All right.
And yeah, the Haunt Maze Power Rankings. We're down to number 4. It's Hotel St. Michel.
Yeah. Tucked behind Windseeker, the haunted 1920s hotel oozes faded grandeur, peeling wallpaper, toppled chandeliers, and the lingering scent of decay from guests who checked in but never left. Over a chilling stay, ghostly bribes and deranged bellhops stalk dim corridors, while mirror illusions and creaking floorboards amplify the claustrophobic dread. It's a slow burn favorite, and it terrifies guests, according to the fan forums, balancing elegant atmosphere and well-timed jump scares. A few sets show their age, but the haunt's moody storytelling and spectral style make it a must-visit for anyone who prefers sophistication with their screams.
Okay.
Number 4.
Yeah. Number 3 in the Haunt Maze Power Rankings, we have The Conjuring.
Yeah, and The Conjuring kind of sits on its own shelf separate from these other ones because it's more of an experience than it is a haunted house. But far from the standard maze, this up to 20-minute screamium experience transforms a meticulously created farmhouse into a living nightmare, one where guests must work together to steal away Annabelle before demonic forces break loose. Iconic nods to The Nun and The Crooked Man surface through puzzle-driven scenes filled with upside-down crosses, cursed artifacts, and whispered prayer recitals, all enhanced by the cutting-edge projections and fog-drenched corridors. It's a masterclass in immersive horror, part escape room, part cinematic possession, though the $20 to $35 upcharge, not included with the regular maze access, and tight quarters may test patience and nerves alike. Pricey, yes, but a must for Conjuring devotees seeking their next level scare fix. And it's a unique one.
All right, number 2.
No, at number 2, we've got Slaughterhouse, presented by Skittles this time. Located near the Beast, this porcine nightmare transforms a meatpacking plant into a full-blown bloodbath. Guests duck beneath dangling carcasses, trudge across gore-slick concrete floors, and dodge chainsaw-wielding butchers in grotesque pig masks, the gauntlet of sensory assault, metallic tangs in the air, and guttural squeals echoing through the halls, and Leatherface style ambushes that leaves even veterans rattled. The decorations and weapons make it gore-tastic. It's a gruesome crowd pleaser that delivers maximum mayhem in minimal time. Though the faint of heart and weak of stomach should probably steer clear. And that's Slaughterhouse.
All right. And number 1, the top ranked maze at Halloween Haunt in the power rankings is Alien Abyss.
Yeah. Reigning supreme near Orion and Flight of Fear, the sci-fi Slaughterhouse plunges guests into a breached research facility where grotesque hybrid experiments have escaped containment. A chill pre-show briefing sets the tone before visitors descend into pitch black tunnels, so dark that you can't see your own hand, overrun with bioluminescent mutants, dissected scientists, and blood-curdling xenomorph shrieks. The nightmare fuses alien-style dread and hands-on, high-intensity scares that don't let up. Very immersive. Dead hybrids everywhere. Truly frightening. Stay haunt goers. While others dubbed it a pulse pounder. Well, that's one way of calling it something.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like I said, it's it's sentiment, it's what's out there, it's it's pulling everything anyone's saying about Halloween Haunt and the mazes into creating that rankings list, and a lot of surprises for me, Ryan, on where a lot of these mazes placed. What about you?
Yeah, I could not disagree more with a lot of these mazes, the placements. Let's start with Alien Abyss. Alien Abyss might be the worst one. It was actually better before they changed it.
Yeah, before the all this information was pulled, I had that coming in at number 7, and it ends up number 1. So would have ranked number 7 on your list, right?
Yeah, it probably would have been 7. The thing that I really don't like about it is they have several areas where you mentioned the darkness where you can't see your hand in front of your face. Using darkness as a scare is so cheap. It's just because they didn't want to do anything or they ran out of time, and that's what they went with. If anything, it's just a bunch of trip hazards. That's the scariest part of it. But yeah, Alien Abyss, I would say, is probably last on my list.
Okay, and then they had number 6. They had Cornered. Where does that rank on your list?
Cornered, I would put as number 4.
Number 4, okay.
And that's just this year's Cornered because it did change. There are some new elements to it, and it does feel a little fresh. But I must admit that this is about their 20th year of doing a corn maze under 3 different names, and I don't know how much longer they can do it without it feeling kind of stale, especially making people pay for the mazes.
Okay. Well, let's do it this way. Let's start yours. Okay, so you had Alien Abyss at number 7. So just go through and kind of work your way down to number 1. How would you have them?
So I would do Alien Abyss at number 7. That's been litigated. At 6, I would put Kilmart. Now with Kilmart, I think it's creative. I think it's kind of neat. It's just really, really stale. And it's, they rarely staff it too. So it's a lot of walking through an arcade that's dressed up to be like a bloody Kmart, and there's a couple people in there to scare you. From there, what are we on, 5 now?
Yeah. What's number 5 on the Ryan Sir Power Rankings list?
Then I would put Slaughterhouse. I think Slaughterhouse is another one that's good, and it was good for the time, but it's just been around for a really long time, and the whole idea is kind of tired. I just, a meatpacking factory, cool that they've done that for a really long time. And this is not a referendum on the actors in there or anything like that. This is just for somebody that's been through the mazes a lot. And there's going to be a novelty bias to it too, because I think what I'm going to put towards the top. But the Slaughterhouse thing is good, but not great. Then the next step would be Hotel Saint Michel. I think that was their best effort before this year. My favorite part is the hallway where you go down, where they can open and slam the doors and do this and do that. And they got a new, I don't know if it's a new animatronic that's above you in that hallway or if it just started working, but that's kind of neat. I like the idea of it. I'm not so much a big fan of, I know they made the creative decision where you enter through the boiler room and then you go out the front desk kind of thing. And they made that decision based on the fact that where you go in kind of looks like a backstage area. I think that it would have made a lot more sense just to forget about that, maybe put a facade on it. And then where you go in is a check-in desk. And then it gets, because if you go to the backstage areas, it gets more and more scary, you know? So I think that's kind of cool. Then above, what was that, like 3 or so?
So let's read. You had Alien Abyss, and then you had
Yeah.
Kilmart, and
Yeah.
then Slaughterhouse, right?
Yeah.
Then Hotel
And
St.
then,
Michelle.
yeah, then Hotel St. Michelle. And then I'm going to put Order of the Dragon at number 2. I go back and forth between that and The Conjuring as to what my favorite is. I think Order of the Dragon is so far beyond any haunted house that they've ever done. The set design's beautiful. The lighting's beautiful. There's a lot of elements of it that are very similar to what you would see at Halloween Horror Nights. A lot of the technology that they use for the actor activated scares. That's very reminiscent of Horror Nights. I haven't been to Not Scary Farm, but I've been told that that would fit in with the pack of a Not Scary Farm maze, which is a huge compliment because people love that stuff. I'm so glad we have it, and I hope it stays. I really do. Then at 1, I would have The Conjuring. The Conjuring, I've been through it 3 times now, and every time I go through, I find something else that I just love about it. You know, it's not without its flaws. You have to wait forever for it. They're doing the thing with the return times now, and that's fantastic. But, you know, if you've got 25 people in front of you, that's still a 25-minute wait or so. But yeah, I don't think it's as much of an escape room as they kind of made it out to be, but it is more of an experience. You go through, they stop you in a room, something cool happens. You get rushed into the next room. They stop you, something cool happens. Now, I will say that we both got reports that they were like either cutting stuff out or people were being forced through the maze quickly. I've done it twice since then, and I will tell you that for those who have done the maze, the crawling part, they only have 1 or 2 people do that, and everybody else bypasses. And the part with the birthday thing is a little bit rushed, but I didn't feel like it took enough away from the maze to, fail the cost benefit of it. They were going to have to do something because they were just not putting people through fast enough. So I'm okay with the changes. I'm okay with the return times. The Conjuring is fantastic. $30 or whatever for it's a little expensive because you can go to like Dent Schoolhouse for that price, and that's like a 40-minute maze. But I would recommend it. If you can get it at the right price and stuff, if you want to go Thursday, Friday, or Sunday, I would highly recommend it because I don't know how sustainable this is, and my fear is that it's going to be a regular walkthrough maze next year, and it's just not going to be the same. So do it this year.
Yeah, do it this year, exactly. So, okay, to recap, the Tower Topics power rankings of Halloween Haunt Mazes has The Conjuring at number 1, Order of the Dragon number 2. Mm-hmm. You had, what was it, Slaughterhouse? Or Hotel St. Michelle was number 3. Number 4 was the Slaughterhouse. Yeah. Number 5 is Cornered. Number 6 is Kilmart.
Yeah.
And number 7 is Alien Abyss. So that is the official listing. So we're going to go with that as the Tower Topics rankings. Now we want to hear from you. So leave us a comment. Let us know, number 1, what you thought of the sentiment list that we pulled from and how they had that ranked. Totally different than what Tower Topics, with Ryan discussing, where he ranked them. But compare it to Ryan's list. But, give us your list 1 through 7. What do you think is number 1, and then work your way down to what you think is number 7. And maybe even if you want to in the comments, just kind of outline why you have them where you have them. But we'd love to hear it, and we'll share some of those thoughts on an upcoming episode of Tower Topics before the end of the Halloween season. So we'll pull some of those and say, here's what you guys thought. So we look forward to seeing your comments.
Yeah, Yeah, send us your ranks. We'd love to hear them in the comments.
All right. Now it's time to move on to the listener questions.
All right, first listener question, Daryl from Defiance, Ohio. Do you think Kings Island will offer any off-season construction tours of Phantom Theater opening nightmare for content creators? I have my own YouTube channel. Or ACE members. I'm a member. Like other parks do. I'm so stoked about this new ride. I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, a lot of excitement about Phantom Theater opening nightmare. I would certainly hope that they would offer some of those opportunities. Wait to see what happens. I think with decentralization, and you've got some people working in Charlotte, some people working in Sandusky. You've got one person from or two people from the marketing team working at Kings Island. It's hard to see, or hard to say what they might do, but I think it would be a good idea. I think it would drum up a lot of interest if they were to bring out some of the content creators and offer it to ACE members and that to just get people excited about it, talking about it, show some of the construction progress. It's a good thing to do. So hopefully they do.
Yeah. I have my doubts that they will, but I think they should as well. I think it's going to, the thing though, is you have to, this isn't the reason why they may not, but I think that the big balance is going to be is if you get 100 content creators in there, people may know exactly what the whole thing looks like by the time the season's over. So you may have to do something where it's like you can do photos here, but not here. But feel free to describe what you saw, because you want to do a tease, but don't spoil kind of situation, which is why I'm glad they did the teaser video the way that they did, because I feel like there's a universe where they give you a whole ride through of the thing, like a simulation of the ride through. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it till I ride it.
I don't either. I would be kind of cool to see, what people are posting if they let you into like maybe one small area of it, just to kind of get some photos and get some conversation going. But outside of what some of the the park fans that have been saying, it's been kind of silent radio from the park about what's going on with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that there's just nothing to report, but I don't think that's the case because they've removed all the vehicles and stuff. Heck, I think it would be an interesting shot of just an empty hallway where, remember when all the ride vehicles were here? They took them off because we're preparing for the new Phantom Theater opening nightmare, opening in the spring of 2026. Like, I feel like that could be done. And I don't know who the decision maker is for a lot of this stuff, but the park really is suffering from lacking that kind of connection, because I've got a feeling, and I know this is probably going to be the case, where this is going to be just like, River Racers and whatever they did the year before that, where it's going to come April and it's going to be like, oh yeah, they were going to do the Phantom Theater thing. That's what they were going to do. And that's not what you want. You want, so people are, in a 3-point stance for opening day to get to that ride, to ride it. And then you don't want to lose it. You want to keep promoting it throughout the year and so on, because they're not going to invest money in the park unless they get a return on investment. And, if they can't get the ROI in the first 10 days or so of operation, because that's all you're talking about it, then, they're not going to do it. But, all right. Tandy from Indianapolis said, hey, Don, I see you visit Holiday World quite a bit. Since you share so many food photos from both parks, Kings Island and Holiday World, which one would you prefer? Would you say has the better food, Holiday World or Kings Island?
Well, both in recent years have really elevated the dining experience at the parks. But I think, when it comes down to which one has the better food, I'm going to cast my vote for Holiday World. I thought, had they still had that award for the Golden Ticket Award, I think they would certainly be in that top 5, pushing for number 1. I mean, it's that good. I think there's a wider variety, a wider assortment of different options that Holiday World has. That kind of separates it for me from Kings Island. When I think about Kings Island, they got pizza, Skyline. Not, that isn't really Kings Island stuff. It's You know, you got the IPs with that, so you take that off the table. Tom and G, take that off the table. You know, so you know, you're left with the brew house. You know, you got some good options and things in there. Though, you know, everybody knows I'm a big fan of the pub burger. They got things during, you know, different parts of the season that you can get in there, like the meatloaf burger that they have during Winterfest is fantastic. Grain and Grill's pretty good. Chicken Shack's got, you know, really good chicken tenders, and the spicy chicken sandwich is really good. But I just think, you know, when you go to Holiday World, you know, you can sit down and have, you know, like a real authentic Thanksgiving meal with the turkey and the mashed potatoes and gravy and the mac and cheese, and you've got the turkey bowl, and you got the chicken and dumplings, and then you've got like the goblin burger, you know, the bacon burgers. They got their own pizza that they have at the park. You know, they have this mac and, you know, honey mac and cheese, chicken mac and cheese that is, you know, very, very good. So just fish and chips was another thing. Brisket, you know, all kinds of things out in the water park. So just for me, there's just a wider variety of options in Holiday World. So for me, my vote would go to them for having the better food of the two parks.
Yeah. For me, I go back and forth because I feel like Kings Island, it's very hit or miss. There is an inconsistency problem there because I feel like if you get a quality pub burger, it's up there with anything else. But you also sometimes get one that feels like it's been sitting around for a while. And then
yeah, it hasn't been as consistent this year as it had been in 2024. I can tell you that. Same thing with the consistency of like the what do they call them, the barrel rolls or whatever they call it that they're giving you, the tater tots, whatever name they give it. Barrels. Yeah, the barrels.
Barrels.
You know, sometimes they're very crispy in that. Sometimes they're, you know, not. Sometimes half of them are, half of them aren't. So a little bit of inconsistency this year there, but still very, very good. You know, when you're looking at the overall, you know, scope of the entire industry, you know, Kings Island certainly for me in the top 10 in terms of, you know, the food and beverage and everything that they offer. You know, I think they could be inside that top 5 based on 2024 and most of what I've had for 2025. But I can tell you that every time I've had a meal at Holiday World this year, you know, and I've gone more than 10 times, is that it's been, you know, consistent. You know, the meal that I had on, you know, my first visit in May has been the same that I had in September. You know, so that's another, you know, thing that gives it points that you know what you're going to get. The quality, the consistency of the portion size, it remains consistent there.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, Christy in Chicago, she said, any word on Coaster Stock 2026? With Tony from CP being PRK, I fear he's going to ruin it like he did Coaster Mania and cut it to one day, and anyone and their brother can buy a ticket instead of having to be part of a coaster club. Thanks. Love Tower Topics.
I've heard no word about Coaster Stock 2026. I think if you're working for Six Flags right now, that's the last thing that's going to be on your mind, you know, or Kings Island is what are we going to do about Coaster Stock? You got so many other things to focus on, worry about. You have, you know, the rest of Halloween Haunt this year. You've got Winterfest coming up. You got a new attraction, Phantom Theater Opening Nightmare, you know, that you need to get ready to, you know, number one, you know, keep interest going during the off season, but you have your, you know, your launch, and then you got to sustain the interest and let, you know, people know that it's there. Make sure that, you know, it is the thing that everyone's talking about going into the opening of the season. So just a lot of things on their plate, you know, before you would get the Coaster Stock, what the plans would be for that. You know, I don't know. I certainly would hope that they would not do that and would continue to make it, you know, you have to be a member of one of the coaster clubs to be able to attend the event. But, you know, they did change that at Cedar Point and kind of became a glorified, you know, season pass event. A lot of dissatisfaction now with that event. It's not what it was before. The camaraderie and everything isn't there. And that's what Coaster Stock was built on, is that big family reunion, the camaraderie. So I would hope that they'd be able to maintain that and keep it the way it was. But, you know, it's not anything that we have any say in or any influence on anymore. So time will tell what they do with that event.
Yeah. If you got your own questions, send them to hosts@towertopics.com. That's HOSTS@towertopics.com. Your first name, the city you're from, as well as your question, comment, concern. We'd love to feature it on the show. If you don't want to send us an email, you can send us a text or a voicemail, 513-399-7538. That's 513-399-7538. If you send us a text, we'll read it. You send us a voicemail, we might play it on the air, but we love interacting with people. Don't forget that we have a new merch store, and you can reach that at store.towertopics.com. And this is what it kind of looks like.
Show your Tower Topics pride. Shop our wide and diverse collection of official gear, from t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts to caps, totes, mugs, and more. Visit store.towertopics.com and rep the podcast in style.
I'm Ryan, that's Don, and this is Tower Topics.